Coming up on today's episode.
Yeah, so I talk to lots of people in the industry, property managers, selling agents, etc. Some property managers, well, a lot are getting contacted by East Coast investors. I think there's a course or something that teaches you to invest interstate. And in the course, they say, well, you don't have to be there. You can get a property manager to go and inspect the property for you.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together.
Hey, I'm Jay from Edge Property Solutions in Perth. Super excited to be here for the No BS Real Estate Podcast. Let's do it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and real estate market. I'm your host, Jo Agresta. Today's episode is for anyone on the East Coast staring at Perth listings thinking, wait, did I already miss the boat? Because joining me today, literally fresh off a flight from Perth, is Jay Gami, founder of Edge Property Solutions, officially one of Perth's top 10 buyers agents, which I love when I found that article. So with over 45-star reviews on Google, it sounds more like fan mail than feedback, to be honest. Jay's built his business helping everyone from first-home buyers, upsizers, to family investors and interstate buyers who need someone on the ground that they can actually trust. So I'm really excited to unpack on today's show exactly how Jay helps his buyers and clients, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the Perth markets. Without further ado, Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jo. It's great to be here. I couldn't bring the weather with me, though.
Why didn't you do us a solid? I could have done with a big bout of sunshine.
Yeah, look, Melbourne weather was terrible, but it's awful today, isn't it?
Oh no, you've actually come on the worst day. So last night, I'm on listening to the news and TikToks, and everyone's putting everything in the community chats going, strap down your belongings, 100K wins. And I'm like, oh crap, these poor podcast guests. And I'm thinking of you flying down going, oh God, please get here safe.
Yeah, it was pretty bumpy.
I was going to say, how was the flight here?
Yeah, pretty bumpy. Pretty rough. There's a couple of moments there I was holding onto the seat. Oh, geez.
I don't fly well. I'm always obsessed with the weather. I'm like, I'm not booking a flight. So I'm very grateful that you braved the crap weather, that you didn't bring the good one with you. But look, I guess what I liked is when we first met, on our pre-podcast interview, I think we bonded over the fact that we're both advocates, but I think it's your general approach and passion towards being an advocate, and your Google reviews. When I was going through them, I'm like, okay, so yeah, I'm a fan. This is fan mail. Right. Got to write in. It's really incredible, what you've built with Edge Property Solutions. So yeah, I'm really keen to get into it and unpack, obviously your journey, but also give our listeners some context into how we can look at the East Coast market, because I think it's very interesting what's playing out right now.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to it.
No, well, let's get into it. I think like all good stories, we've got to start at the beginning, right? So for anyone who hasn't, come across Edge Property Solutions yet, how did you get into buyers advocacy, and what pushed you to start your own thing?
So it's a long story. I don't know how long we've got.
We've got time.
I'll give you the short stories. Look, growing up, I didn't have too much. We didn't have too much. Mum was a cleaner. Dad was a builder. Life was good, but the fridge wasn't always full. It wasn't full of real cool stuff squeezy yogurts and cheese strings. But we weren't starving. And look, I'll never forget my first car. So when I first started driving, it was a 86 Nissan Sunny. I don't know if you got those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm English, so we had them over there, and the friends would jump in. It was the dodgiest cars. The stereo was held in with styrofoam, and we all laughed along, but really I always wanted more, right? And I wanted what you could see what other people had. So the turning point for me was my first job in real estate. So I actually had a job in late 90s, showing my age now, selling real estate. And when I got there, the penny really dropped for me. So I looked up what my family home was worth at that time, and it was £90,000,
yep.
Right? And I went home and I says to Dad, how much did you buy this house for? And he told me he bought it for 30 grand about 15 to 20 years prior.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, this property's tripled in value. And that's when I discovered the power of property. So, obviously it builds your wealth, but it's not just that. It's it gives family securities, stability, comfort, and, real pride in that place you call home. So today I know every property decision is more than just a transaction. It's about shaping, a family's future, a family's happiness, and a family's security and safety.
Of course.
So that's why I do what I do, and that's why I got into buyers advocacy.
That's so interesting. Like, I love that you went home and said to your dad, "Tell me what you bought it for."
Yeah,
I'm going to unpack this.
Yeah, because it's mind blowing when you're in your. I think I was maybe early 20s at that time, and to just think that how much you can grow your wealth with property is wild.
And what I like is that, and not everyone starts. I think a lot of people assume when we say real estate, especially real estate agent, we think of the glitz, the glam, the cars and all of this stuff. And you don't often think, well, there's a humble beginning there, to be honest. Like when you get your first real estate job, like I was a real estate agent first as well before advocacy. I had a 1987 Mazda 323. It was pretty shit. And my boss quickly told me, like, I love that car. I was wrapped. But my boss quickly told me that's not going to fly in the industry. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I upgraded to a Toyota Corolla. And I was like, this will be all right, 2002 Corolla.
Yeah.
And then she said it still wasn't good enough. So a couple of years later, I did the Ford Falcon because I'm not buying anything, that doesn't speed. I didn't have money. I was just like, I've put everything into a car loans. For me, it was that build up of that first pool of buyers and that cycle. It's rough. And when you don't grow up with everything kind of handed to you, and I'm not saying that that's the story for a lot of people, but it really makes you appreciate how people have wealth and how they create it. And it's like, surely you didn't just get fed a silver spoon. Like you've done something.
It's a long journey for everyone, right?
Yeah.
A little bit off topic, but my first car, I used to park it around the corner when I was presenting homes. I didn't park it right outside.
Yeah, I resonate with that. It's true. It's like, you just have to start making the money first and then saying, okay, how can I do better? So that's why I feel like your story is relatable in that sense, that for a lot of people listening, they're in this position today, or they've been in families or they have families that they're like, yep, like I was the same, So you don't really have an example of that wealth creation journey. Yeah. You're kind of just saying, okay, no, they've done the right thing. They've bought a property. They've given me a stable upbringing. How do I get more? And I think being self-made is a really admirable thing, to kind of unpack that journey. So, in terms of like who you're actually helping most these days, like who's the market that you mainly serve? Is it like your first home buyers, Perth locals, or is it interstate buyers that are chasing Perth property?
So 60% of my clients are local to Perth.
Nice.
They're a mix of first home buyers, upsizers, haven't had any downsizers, but a real mix of folks, and they come to me for different reasons. So I get FIFO clients who just aren't on the ground. I get clients that are medicos, really busy, working long shifts. They come to me. They want that help. They want me out there as their eyes and ears. And 100% I get East Coast investors and migrants as well. But look, at my mission is really to help everyday Aussies, right? Give out impartial advice, educate, and give clarity to those buyers. And no matter where you're from, I've got clients, as I said, 60% are local, but I've helped Kiwis that are migrating over.
Nice.
I've helped interstate families, so Victorians, Queenslanders, and I get a lot of inquiries from Poms as well.
Of course, naturally.
With my background. And as I said, securing that property, it's not just a house, it's a home. Even for a tenant, if you're buying for an investor, the tenant still wants a home. And a tenant that's secure and comfortable in a home, they're going to stay. So, so that's my goal, is getting that perfect home for every client.
No, that's amazing. And like I said, your reviews are glowing, and it shows that, the vast majority of different people from different walks of life that you're helping. It's really cool to see, honestly. And, I want to go in and shift gears to the Perth's market, right? Because Perth's had a bit of a glow up and it's absolutely gone ballistic over the past couple of years. Record migration, insane demand, and there's almost no stock at some points. Give us the pulse from your side, because this is what I'm reading and seeing, but I'm not in the trenches in Perth. Like, I'm sitting here in Melbourne saying, why is it so sunny there? Why the hell do I live here? So give us your kind of take, like what's actually happening and what's the kind of update over there?
Yeah. So you've hit the nail on the head with a few things there. It is absolutely wild. The property market is absolutely wild. The supply-demand equation, like you said, just completely out of whack. So I'm looking at REWA, so the Real Estate Institute of WA. End of last week, we had 2,800 properties for sale. So if you take out land and units, that's about 1,700 established properties for sale. And for a bit of context, this time last year, we had 4,700 on the market. Stock has dropped significantly. The thing to know is a balanced market in Perth is about 12,000 properties for sale.
Got it.
So
that's a huge difference.
It's nuts. And we can't build fast enough. We personally built a house about 5 years ago. A double story took 14 months back then. We're doing another build, and a similar product is now over 22 months. And the build costs have gone through the roof.
Yep.
So the second build we're doing is about 35% more than the build contract we signed about 5 years ago. So yeah, when you compound all of that, that's what's creating this perfect storm. Yeah. And then also you touched on migration. So since March 23, we've had 120,000 new migrants come into WA.
Wow, that's huge from a demand perspective. It's
just wild. We can't keep up. So I think I read the latest statistic, we need to build 20,000 homes a year.
Yeah.
In WA, particularly Perth Metro. We're just nowhere near that.
I think that's a really common theme in terms of the problems we're seeing in these markets across Australia. Like the government saying, yes, there is a affordable housing scheme in place and we are going to build, but it's like you can't build fast enough.
Yeah, you can't build fast enough. We don't have enough trades. So the property we're building at the minute is actually next door because we subdivided a site.
Oh, nice.
And every morning I wake up and I'm like, is there a trade? Is there a trade on site? Is someone doing something?
You're like, if I don't hear noise, I'm actually annoyed.
Exactly. And it's just trades. You can't get trades.
It's crazy. Thank you for giving us like a pulse check because like Melbourne's obviously seeing a lot of growth at the moment and a lot more people trying to buy, but we've got the same issues in terms of supply, right? It's a common theme, but it doesn't mean that people can't get into the market. It's just getting crafty with maybe their requirements or where they want to buy. Would you say that's kind of accurate or not really? It's still a very big supply issue.
It's just a massive supply issue.
Yeah.
Look, in Perth, far north and far south of Perth, there are a lot of new estates coming up. But even then, the only way they can get a new home up fast enough is looking at different building methods. And in Perth, we're very fixated on double brick, so that is causing more issues. But homes can be built faster with different types of construction.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, it's like the material is one thing and the cost of that material, the importing of that material. Yeah. Like we went through a build 3 years ago through COVID. God, don't even have a PTSD. It is definitely one of those things. So, and I love hearing that from someone who's actually on the ground over there, not just a news headline that says everything's shit. It's like stock's low. It's like, yeah, what else? But no, because you're actually out there, I appreciate the perspective because, getting that attention. And we need to kind of talk about what's driving that attention too. Mainly every second East Coast investor flying in with dollar signs in their eyes. Let's switch gears to that because you must be dealing with a tidal wave of, Sydney and Melbourne buyers thinking that they've cracked the code, right? Cheap houses, massive yields, what could go wrong? What are they getting right and what are they getting spectacularly wrong?
East Coast investors are seeing a lot of value in Perth, right? So I recently purchased for an East Coast investor a 4x2, about 20 minutes walk from the coast for 900K. Right. So they told me that kind of product on the coast in New South Wales would be well over 2 million. So they're seeing lots of values. Now, in terms of what they're getting right, anyone using a BA is getting it right. Anyone doing their research into suburbs is getting it right. So, looking at the socioeconomics, what are employment rates like? What are average earnings in a suburb? What are the renters versus owner occs in a suburb? Where's the social housing, et cetera, et cetera. What they're getting wrong is, going sight unseen, going off real estate pictures and real estate agents' advice. Well, some of them are good, not all of them are good. Using property managers to inspect properties. So again, it depends who the property manager is, what their experience is, what their knowledge is, what their background is. Do they really trust that PM? And then the other thing that people are getting wrong is just going in with FOMO. Right? Yeah. So not having a long-term plan or strategy or looking at how this property might fit into their longer plans and other properties they might own.
Yeah, so they're kind of going in with the intention to snap up quickly so they don't miss out. But they're ignoring the kind of long-term goal behind it. It's like, well, yeah, I know you want to snap it up, but is that part of your plan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think you mentioned something really interesting. I didn't realise people were getting PMs to do inspections.
Yeah, have you not heard of that?
No.
Yep. So I talk to lots of people in the industry, property managers, selling agents, etc., etc. Some property managers, well, a lot are getting contacted by East Coast investors. I think there's a course or something that teaches you to invest interstate, and in the course they say, well, you don't have to be there. You can get a property manager to go and inspect the property for you, your eyes and ears. Yeah,
that's a big no from me.
Look, I guess it would depend who that property manager was and what experience they had.
But like, you're interstate. Like, how much are you going to know that person? You'd have to have that. Like, I would only be doing it through a BA, in my opinion. I'd go, no, that's the person that knows what I need.
Yeah. And you've got to remember the property manager likely has a vested interest in purchasing because they'll get the property management.
That's right.
Yeah. So you'd have to really trust that person. Really you're putting all your cards down and giving it to that person and saying, right, go for it. I trust you.
Yeah, it's just a little bit, maybe my risk appetite's low. Maybe I don't have it. But it's just, it's unbelievable to me, like, getting the PM to do it. So, you've opened up my eyes to another way of people inspecting property, I guess. And, the other one that you mentioned there too is the sight unseen. That is a huge thing that's happening at the moment. Like even in our industry, there's some BAs who say, I'll buy and negotiate a property interstate for you, but they actually won't organise the inspection. So they'll do sight unseen. Okay. And it's becoming like this topic in Melbourne that everyone's talking about, the risk attached with sight unseen. Can you unpack a little bit of that for us too? Like, is that something that you also advise clients absolutely not to do, or how do you approach it?
Yeah. So look, I never buy anything that I haven't seen or a trusted sourcer hasn't seen, right? Yeah. The number of times I've pulled up to a property and it looks nothing like the pictures is it happens a lot. We've got all this flashy media now. We've got videos, we've got
socials,
AI. You can take a picture and chuck it into ChatGPT and
totally ramp it up,
make it look fresher, make the walls look better, sky looks bluer. So buying sight unseen is a big risk, in my opinion. Yeah, you've got to remember that the selling agents they're trying to sell the property, right? So, if there is a house next door that has 6 Rottweilers and 4 beat up cars in the driveway, you're not going to see that in the pictures, right?
No. You know what? I'll tell you about a business I know of. There's a business I came across not too long ago. I don't know them personally. I was just, researching, and I saw that there's a business that what they do is you can pay a premium, right? I think it's like $15,000 when you're ready to sell your house. And what they do is they go out and clean up all your neighbours' houses from the street so they look presentation ready. Yeah. So all the problems are hidden. So if you've got that neighbour that does have the 14 cars, they'll go there and say, hey, they're selling the house. Come on, can we do something about these cars? Wow. We'll do it all for you. They've paid for it. Wow. So they're going there mowing lawns, landscaping, making it really nice. They do the street wherever it can be viewed. Yeah. Right. So it's like when you're driving into the street, it's like if that's 4 or 5 houses, they'll cover it.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, but then once they've moved in, you're screwed. You're like, what did I move in? Yeah. Why did they had their lawn mowed, they had no cars, and then all of a sudden I've moved in and I've got 16 cars there, the Rottweilers are going off, and you're what? So that was a funny business I came across on a way to get crafty. But no, I think you've really put the nail on the head there with those points you've made, especially what they're getting wrong in the sense of sight unseen is one thing, but also trusting the real estate photos. With AI these days, you've got to be so careful. Yeah, it's 100%. Just not the same.
Yeah,
and I think that there's this, I can buy a house here for what I pay in stamp duty back home. Like you said, there's this mentality of the comparison between different markets. It's like the value in New South Wales, Northern Beaches is X, but then here, same thing, is far cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think there's that mentality. Are locals feeling priced out, or do you think it's healthy competition that's pushing growth?
So, yeah, locals are getting priced out. There's no doubt about it. It's super hard to get any property in Perth, let alone a good property in a good suburb and a good standard. It's super hard for first-time buyers. I really feel for those guys. Even with the government assistance, the 5% first homeowner scheme, great idea by the government, but what it's done is just pushed.
Drives demand.
Yeah, it's driven demand and it's pushed everything up. So now that said, competition is a good thing. It It's healthy and it makes prices rise. I'm just not sure if the pace at which the market's rising is a good thing, and we don't want it going at that rate. So, but that said, there are a lot of local agents that I've spoke to that are actually trying to give the local buyers a fair go.
Right.
Yeah. So they've actually said to me, "Hey, is your client local or interstate?" And I'll say, yeah, local or interstate, depending on which. And often they say, we're trying to give the locals a go. Like if your client's local, would really like to sell it to someone local. So yeah, that's super interesting when you're out there and you hear that kind of thing. It's reassuring for those first home buyers.
Yeah, it is. Like, I think that's the hard part, right? Like someone listening to maybe the first part of your answer might go, oh, crap, so I've got no chance.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, people are thinking about this in a different way. They're trying to open up that market to those guys too and keep locals in. It's like you don't have to move into Melbourne or into Sydney if your goal is to stay in Perth just because you feel outpriced. So no, it's encouraging, and at least there's like that light right there.
There is, and I'd say to first home buyers, just get out there and keep talking to the agents, because a lot of them, they do have a heart. Like I lost a deal about 2 months ago for about 20 grand. I was 20 grand higher than the next person.
Right.
But the agent and the sellers went with a lower offer because of a particular situation with the family that were buying. I think they had a disabled son or something like that. So people do have a heart as well.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So they took 20 grand less to give it to this family.
That's unreal and very encouraging. I'm actually glad to hear that. It's a feel-good story. It's not all doom and gloom, guys. Yeah. When someone calls you, I guess, from the East Coast saying, I want to buy sight unseen, what's your immediate reaction?
Yeah, pretty much as we said earlier, bad news. Right? Yeah. So if you're going to buy sight unseen, it's back to that trust thing. Like, who do you trust? You're potentially spending $700, $800, $1 million. You've got to implicitly trust that person. There's some good selling agents out there, but you've got to remember who they're working for, right? Yeah. And who they're paid. Who's going to pay their bill. It's the seller. Actually, in the real estate code of conduct, there's a duty of care for an agent to work in the best interest of their client. So the selling agent's only ever working for the seller. Buyer's agent, on the other hand, we are working for the buyer, and we have a duty of care to act in their best interests. And yeah, like I said earlier, with the flashy videos and the ChatGPT, sight unseen is a massive risk. I suppose there are some things you can do sight unseen, and that would be suburb research.
True.
And but data only tells part of the story.
Well, it's like once you inspect it, that's where you start to see, oh, there is a crack in the wall. Oh, there is mold. Exactly, there is water damage. And that's where you start. Why sight unseen, online, basing it on just online photos because you're trying to get in quickly and beat the market can open up like so many risks, so many headaches that you could say, yeah, I got a property, but it's like, did you get the right one? And now is it a mess financially? And this is the risk. Yeah. So, which brings us to the heart of it. Like people are trying to buy from, thousands of kilometers away. Let's talk about why having someone like you actually on the ground as an advocate matters. Because I think, and I promise we'll keep this little rant short, right? Because I've banged on about this so many times. But for someone listening who's about to upsize or maybe downsize or invest, and they're thinking about working with you, why does working with a local buyer's advocate make such a difference versus maybe them hiring someone in Melbourne because they're potentially here, or on the East Coast they hire someone over there, but they haven't got their boots on the ground? So what's the kind of I guess, why does working with someone like yourself make such a big difference?
Look, boots on the ground, like you said, is super important. You can't beat it. That local suburb knowledge and understanding those local markets and those local relationships as well are something that you just can't beat. So, example is there's a suburb called Nollamara, east of Perth. Some pockets of that suburb are really nice, and there's some pockets that are horrible. Yeah. Right. So when you're on the ground, you've got that knowledge. You drive down the streets and you see where all the shopping trolleys are, and then you see streets where the lawns are really nice, and there's good housing. And yeah, when you're on the ground and you physically inspect those properties, you're going to see things, as we said, we don't see in those pictures. So that same suburb, I walked into a house probably about 3 months ago, and was hundreds of buyers, and we're all going through this house. And I walked through the bathroom, and there's a bit of like water dripping down the wall, and I said, oh, it's a bathroom. Could be condensation. But I spotted that, and I continue to go around the house, and then I see one of the bedrooms. It's like there's some water damage, water running down the walls. So I'm going, that's a bit strange. So anyway, continue through the house, and in the garage, so the property's empty. Yeah. There's a bunch of clothes errors and there's loads of towels hanging out to dry in the garage. And I'm going, there's a problem. This house is leaking. The real estate agent has come in the house and mopped up all the water.
Shit.
It was a stormy day, and hung the towels in the garage. And I'm going, okay, if you're just looking at the pictures from afar, even if you've got a video walkthrough, you're not going to see that. And it could have been a simple fix. Well, it probably is a simple fix. Well, I went outside and I looked at the gutters. So the water's running back in the house because the gutters haven't been cleaned. But you just wouldn't see that.
No, not on a video walkthrough, like you said. Like, that's something so hard to spot in any type of video unless you've noticed it and you're purposely going right up to it to say, look at this problem.
Yeah.
How are you going to know?
And again, I went around the outside and I could see that there was weeds growing in the gutters. So they were obviously full, lots of trees around. You're not going to see that.
No, I think that, like, that's just right there. Why having someone like yourself on the ground is fundamental. It's like, because I always say this with advocacy, I won't rant long, promise. Ending, you've saved all this money over, for some people, that's between maybe 2 to 5 years, right, for this deposit. And it's a goal and it's a dream. To then go in, like you said at the beginning, with FOMO, to just quickly snap something up because, you know, maybe you've been on market a long time, you're over it or you're sick of it or you just don't want to get outpriced. So you start just pushing the boundaries of your budget and just saying, there you go, I just want it, give it to me. This is where you've spent all that time saving, like, and you've been on market maybe, 2 months at this point. Having an advocate, typically people aren't with us for 6-9 months, like the state average, like, because we're buying property every day, every week, every month. Like, we've done it for over a long period of time. Like, this is not something we do once every 7 years and it's like, hey, just trust me, I do it once every 7 years. It's like, this is our job and why it's full time. So I think it makes sense why you do work with a lot of medicos and a lot of these young professionals or working families, because they're the ones that are time poor.
Yes. Yeah.
Property buying is a full-time job. So
100%.
Don't discount the value of all that hard work that you've just put in, not to then go get a professional to help you out.
Yeah. I see 40, 45 properties every week. My Friday is sat planning all the viewings on the weekend. I'm sitting there with a spreadsheet of everything that I'm going to see and, during the week as well. But when you're doing that, when you're seeing that volume, you spot the flaws, right? And then makes it easier to spot the good ones as well.
And it's a skill that you build too, right? It's like you start to know things like the back of your hand. It's like as soon as you see a certain marking, you're like, that's water damage.
Yeah, exactly. Or a great one I've seen recently is I went to a home and the house next door had these huge high walls, security cameras everywhere, like really bizarre bars on the walls on the home. And I'm going, what is going on like with this property? Yeah, I'm like, this is bizarre. So I jump in the car and I we can look up the ownership of the house with certain tools. So I look up the ownership of the house and it's owned by a company. I'm going, this is strange. And I throw the company name into Google.
Oh, God.
And it's linked to a bikie gang. Yeah. So I'm like to my client, hey, great house, but just telling you about this next door. You might not want to be next to this house. They could be the nicest people on the planet. If you don't know, you've just bought a house next door to I think, and then I was talking to somebody else and he said, yeah, that's actually their clubhouse.
Jesus. And that's the part of what you do. Like, I think you were saying it's like the street interviews or street appraisal, like as in this is part of the role, like just finding out what have we got?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, thank God. Because I, as a buyer, like you go, yeah, it's a great house. And then you kind of see that house and maybe ignore it or go, it's a bit weird, but I still love this house. I'll buy it anyway. Then you find out that you've just got motorbikes constantly.
Yeah.
And that's not something you're going to call the cops on. So
no.
You're just going to shut up and deal with it. But I love this. And it's a kind of perfect segue into, let's have a little bit of fun, right? Yeah. I want to play red flag or green light. Okay, so this is a little game that I made up this week because I wanted to have some fun with our guests. And I want you to kind of highlight, I'm going to read out like 5 different kind of topics that someone who's listening today, one of our, listeners might be doing these things. And I want you to call out if it's a red flag or a green light and why in a short sentence. So are you ready to have a crack with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. First one, red flag or green light, buying sight unseen in Perth?
Red, 100%. As we said earlier, photography, AI.
The list goes on.
Yeah, list goes on.
Nice. And number 2, investing near the new train lines.
Green, So everyone needs and loves transport. Car ownership is going through the roof. Transport for school, uni, work, airport, concerts, whatever. Transport's great.
Love it. And it's a good one too. You're right. It's like that transport connection or that, public transport link into cities, into different areas.
Yeah.
You can't discount that. No. Especially with traffic. Trust me, I live 15 minutes away from a train station. Shit house.
Well, the public transport in Perth is pretty shit. Coming from London.
You've got tubes. Your sister, when I went, was the best.
Yeah.
The best. I've never had so much fun taking public transport.
Yeah.
Then I got back to Melbourne and I gave up.
Yeah.
Got back in my car.
Yeah.
The next one is buying below replacement cost.
So green,
yeah,
if you can do it, that's really hard because replacement cost now, as we said earlier, build costs are going through the roof.
Has to keep up. Hard measure. But yeah, green if you can do it, like I said. Listening to Facebook suburb gurus.
Yeah, interesting one. So can I say amber or does it have to be red or green?
You could be amber.
I'd go amber. You got to check out the Facebook guru, right? Check out their credentials. Where do they live? And what do they do? Have they bought in those suburbs? Do they know those suburbs? Data tells you some of the story, not the full picture. So yeah, it depends on the guru.
I came across a TikTok guru yesterday on a live. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Like a gym bro kind of guy.
Okay.
Anyway, he was giving financial advice. He's like, I'm 26 and financially free, financially wealthy and mortgage free. Wow. Ask me anything. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I'll just poke around and sit on this live and see what he has to say. And someone then started asking, do you have a financial services license? So he's Australian. And he goes, oh, no, I don't need to have that. If you look up on Google life coach, like I'm a life coach that specializes in financial well-being. And I'm like, interesting loophole. Why are you giving out financial advice? And this guy has 11,000 followers. And I'm like, this is such a red flag because I can see so many desperate people in this chat going, so how do you do this? And I'm like, go to a broker. Who are we talking to the gym bro? Okay. This guy's not going to teach you much. Yeah, he was pretty ruthless in his comments. He's like, no, he goes, you can be wealthy. It's just a mindset, which I do agree with that. And he goes, but he's like, no, I don't need to have licensing for this. Like, I'm not telling you, I'm not writing loans. And I'm like, just scam everywhere. Yeah. So this is the thing when I wanted to throw this one in here because these gurus pop up everywhere and it's so hard to check their credentials on, is this person licensed to do this or are they masking behind some sort of title? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Scary. It's very scary. So I would agree. Red flag. Sometimes I'm going to say red for that reason, but amber, I would agree with you on. Yeah. Because there's some of them that are really credible, as in that are putting out content that are advocates. And it's like, well, yeah, they are who they say they are. You've done your research. Now you can follow them and trust kind of their guidance, but you've got to vet them. Yeah. This last one here is, I like this one, innovating mid-boom. I'm going to say amber because if it's something that you've done many, many times, you can profit from it. The danger is overcapitalizing, which is so easy to do. Like you can walk into a tile shop and there's a $30 a square meter tile. Those ones are always at the back of the shop. You walk past the $200 a square meter tiles before you get to the $30 ones. True. And it's so easy to blow your budget. Like it's so easy to blow your budget. Well, it's like anything, right? It's like when you go shopping for clothes, it's like, I'm just going for this. And then you start looking at that and then you start walking out and then you're at the checkout going, shit. I'm worried. Yeah. Then you scan it and you feel embarrassed to put anything back. So you buy it. So you just buy it all, Yeah, so you buy it all and you walk out and you go, shit. Yeah. And it's that overcapitalizing though that does like kill a lot of deals. It's like the emotion and the passion in the moment. It's like, oh no, it can just set you up for a lot of heartache down the track. Yeah, 100%. We did a lot of rent vesting in our past. So we owned property, but we rented recently, it's probably about 8 or 9 years ago. We rented a home, an old home on a hill, fantastic views of the city, like premium home that had been fully renovated. Like the previous owners had spent over $500,000 on it, put this massive balcony in the back, stunning house. We found out from the neighbors that they had actually had a relationship breakdown while they were doing that reno. And they'd sold the house at a loss after had putting a shit ton of money into it. Yeah, that's why I say kind of amber, you really need to know what you're doing. You need to know where the market's going and keep a lid on what you're spending. Like these guys, they made a stunning house, but it wasn't worth what they spent. No. Oh gosh, no, really well answered. Thank you for playing that little game with me. And now Reddit always has some feelings about Perth. Now, this is a segment where I read out a Reddit story that's submitted by one of our listeners. So every week we get different stories from all of you guys, and I really appreciate you sending them in. And we finally have someone who can address our Perth ones. So what I'll do here is, for those of you that are new to the show, this is a segment where I'll read out one of the stories that you guys have submitted to us. You can always submit them to our email. And then I'll have Jay here address it and kind of see what his take would be, because then we get to see it from your perspective. So let's see how you would help this person differently. So you ready for me to go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this one was pulled from the Oz Property Chat, which we all love a good Oz Property Chat Reddit thread. And it's titled, Perth Market, Is a Correction Coming? And it reads, I've been following Perth's market for the last year, and honestly, I can't believe how crazy it's gotten. Every other post is someone saying they've been priced out, builders are charging ridiculous rates, and listings are getting snapped up instantly. Surely we're due for a correction soon. It feels like everyone piling in now is going to get burned. UA always lags and then crashes harder than the rest of the country. Thoughts?
Yeah, interesting. So look, the market is definitely catching up after years and years of being ignored. As we said earlier, the supply demand is way out of whack. So it's really hard to see a correction coming in the next 12 or months, being on the ground, just seeing the shortage, the number of buyers out there, the mass migration that we've got, and me helping bring some of those migrants in so I can buy homes for them. So for there to be a crash or a correction, there'd have to be a massive change, like a significant change in something. And that would have to be either interest rates going up significantly, and most analysts are predicting they're going to come down. So unlikely that that's going to happen, or people start leaving the state en masse, right? So again, I can't see that happening. So in the kind of short, medium term, 2 years, can't see a crash. Of course, who knows in 5 or 10 years what's going to happen.
It's hard to predict.
Yeah, so we can't predict that far out. But in the short term, I can't see a crash happening at all.
No, so you don't think a correction's coming in that sense?
Not in the short term.
No, I like that. Thank you for answering that, because I think I like to bring these stories in. Some of our listeners really love it because they just want to know what's going on, but they are too scared to kind of reach out and ask directly. So this kind of gives them, and I hope it helps you guys kind of picture it. So it's putting it in context from a professional that's actually seeing the market, rather than, just randomly Googling it saying, is this going to happen? And seeing what happens. So thank you for answering that. Jay, I can't believe how fast this time's flown. Like, I'm looking at the time going, surely not. We're coming to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and coming on the show today. It's been a really fantastic, insight into what's going on, but also how you help your clients. If there's anyone tuning in today that's thinking, okay, I think I need to talk to Joe, I think I need a buyer's agent, I'm not sure, I think I want to buy in Perth, what's a final thought or final advice that you've got to our listeners who are thinking of investing in Perth at the moment?
So if you're thinking of investing in Perth, make sure it fits in with your long-term plan and know what you're looking for. So are you chasing yield? Are you chasing growth? Ideally, you want a long-term time frame. I don't like jumping in and out of markets. You can do really well, but there's risk associated with that. So really have a strategy, right? Have a strategy, know what you want, know how long you want to be in the market, and knowing what you're trying to achieve. And until you've done that, you shouldn't be looking at property anywhere, really.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Great advice and great tips. And thank you once again for being here, Jay. This is a great episode. I had so much fun.
It's my pleasure. And it's been a long time coming, because we've had a couple of cracks at this and we haven't got our calendars aligned right.
No, I'm pretty hopeless like that. So it took Karina to get us together. Shout out. No, I'm really glad. And I'm glad that you came in person. I know that this is a different vibe. Online is one feeling, but when I'm in person with someone, it's just a whole different feeling and a lot more fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course. So what did we learn today, guys? Perth's market isn't crashing, we hope, and it's correcting a decade of, underperformance in some ways. So East Coast money is shaking things up, but the smart investors are the ones working with locals, buying for fundamentals, and thinking about the long-term goals and strategies, and working with an advocate like Jay. So like I always say, it is free to have a chat. It's free to pick up your phone and call Jay and say, hey, I saw that, like, you got these Google reviews and you're looking great and I heard your episode. How can you help me? That conversation's not going to cost you anything, maybe some time,
Yeah.
And you never know where it could lead. You might walk away and go, okay, that was a really good tip. Or you might walk away going, crap, why didn't I talk to Jay 6 months ago? I've been on market for 9 months. So, don't hesitate. Just give him a ring. He's easy to talk to and a lot of fun, and he'll, I'm sure, set you up on the right path on your next property purchase. So thank you again, Jay. And if you want to connect with Jay, all his details are in the show notes below. So if anything comes up, please give him a call. And until next time, I'm Jo Agresta, and this has been the No BS Real Estate Podcast. We'll catch you next time. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodey AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodey.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodey AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodey.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.